There you go.
Now we're cooking.
Okay, thanks.
Well, we'll try it again.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the commissioner meeting. We'll have you maybe start with Erling and just introduce yourself, and we'll go around the room. And
My name is Erling Juel. I'm the manager for Greenfields Irrigation District.
Sam Carlson, Commissioner.
Dick Snellman, commissioner.
Choteau, Commissioner.
Steve Rose, County Fire Chief.
Tracy Wendt, Sun River Watershed Group. Melody Martinson, Choteau Acantha.
Welcome. And first thing, we have minutes from our work meeting on the 15th and commissioner meeting on the 16th. Do I have a...
I would move to approve those 2 minutes.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. We have two road encroachments. One being in the power community. It's to add on to the sewer line for the distillery. And that'd be Fifely Distillery. And it's been signed by Alan. Do I have
I would move to approve that road encroachment.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The other encroachment is west of Power. It's for Joe Hawes. And it's adding a proposed approach into a field. It's across from Brad Schaefer's.
What road does it go under, or would it go on?
7th Northeast.
There you go.
Okay.
And
I would move to approve that encroachment.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Did Alan sign that one also?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay.
Okay. Then we have precinct hearing, which was opened, and we'll don't have any comments on that one, and I'm assuming we can close it.
Yep.
It's been open for 2 weeks.
This is the precincts for,
The elections.
The precinct change for that the state already did for some
Right,
reason. We have to
okay,
jump through the
yeah.
hoops.
And you have a copy of those right
Yeah,
now?
I do.
Okay.
Mhm.
So,
And you guys got no comments?
no, didn't have any comments
Okay,
at all.
Well,
it took
what
a
made-
while to get the information back from the state, but
Even if you comment, you can't change the outcome, so.
No, we can't change the outcome either, so it was much ado about nothing.
Yeah, right.
so do I have a,
I think you can just close the hearing.
I think, yeah,
Okay.
I don't think we need a motion for that.
so we'll close that hearing. We also opened the hearing on the fee board, and we've had some comments which we can go into, or do we just want to close the
Yeah,
hearing
just
for
close the
now?
hearing.
So we'll close that.
Okay.
And the precinct boundary change.
Yeah.
Did Paula give that to you also?
Yep,
And,
Okay.
and we, I mean, it's gonna
Again,
happen whether we do it or not.
Yeah.
So we're just legitimizing it.
That's
Right.
when Paula talked with me, she still didn't know exactly how many voters' residences were in that section. Do you guys know that yet? No.
Not yet.
Well, she sent all, well, that's the, Unless she sent all of the, she did say that she sent everything to you though, so
Yeah,
you've got
okay.
everything we've got. I
I've
haven't
got
seen
one.
any concrete numbers.
Yes.
No,
So I guess I would make the motion to approve the precinct boundary change that we have no control over.
yeah, right, I'll second. Yeah, there's really nothing we can do about it anyway.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We can go into the fire fee increase. Comments that we've had. Ken Lee was in favor of half of the increase. It wasn't positive that they needed to have the whole $50. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, either by letter or email or telephone conversations to the commissioner's office that were in favor of the fee increase. And we had one from the Fairfield area that was a definite no on the increase. Any other comments from the commissioners?
Well, that's all I had was that one.
I guess I thought we would get more of a response. I appreciate your article on the front page.
Yeah.
And when I saw it, I thought, wow, the phone's gonna start ringing now. It didn't.
It never did, we didn't get any.
Yeah, I was
Comments
surprised
at all.
also that we didn't get more feedback on it.
Yeah,
The other two comments that we had, and even though they were in favor of the increase, is that, and it's hard to do, I know, but that the monies be put in a line item, and that's what it was designated for, was for the replacing the equipment.
Yes, and that was the plan I had, was to get together and just have one line item and call it personal protection equipment, and it'd only be used for the air packs and turnout gear.
Okay, and that would answer those people's questions. The other one was that they staggered the purchase of the equipment so that it all
Yeah.
wasn't
Didn't come all due at once.
exactly.
Yeah. Under this process, yeah, because what did I figure? At
6 years.
6 years to replace them all, so it would be, it would be, this year so many, next year so many,
Right.
on down. So they wouldn't all be due at once, they'd be kind of spread out by a year or so on 'em. Yeah,
And I guess the only other thing is if you could, we've talked about this just with what you've requested, but if there was a reporting, by the fire fee board back to the commissioners as how you're spending it and, so that the taxpayers are aware.
yeah, that's doable.
Okay.
I could, basically what I do, is I make a little, I call it a claims report for the month, and I just write which department it is for, who it's to, and the amount.
Sure.
Is that,
We see those claims.
Yeah.
you see
So
the
if
claims,
you
but I
just-
mean, I have the report, I do it, as I do them, I write it on a separate paper, and
Correct.
then at the end of the month, I total how much that was. Would that work for you on that?
Yeah.
Right, or how
Yeah.
it's spent,
Yeah.
in each department or the replacement.
Right.
Well, initially I went to the fee board to that one meeting and I really told those guys, do not increase it 100%, and they didn't. They only increased it about 85. So initially I was hoping that they would ask for less than that, but I have talked to people about this, and I think the fact that, yes, it is a huge increase, but it's not gonna affect any individuals very much. You know,
No.
almost all of the homesteads that are outside the cities have one, maybe two houses, so you're talking a $50 increase, so.
Steve, that was something that I wanted to ask for clarification on. If you have a house, obviously, that you live in that's occupied, that's got water, sewer, power, that's gonna be assessed.
Right.
And remind me then, if I have a rural business, like, let's say the distillery that's going in outside of power, still in physically our county, then as a business that's being occupied full-time, that's also assessed.
Yes.
Yes, but, and remind me, because I know we had all this discussion back in
Yeah,
the
back when.
1997, 98 area. If I have a shop that has power to it, but I only use it when I'm mechanicking and equip a tractor, does my shop get assessed also?
No, not if it's for your, how do I say that? If
So-
you're a farmer or ranch and
Right.
you're using it for your own, you're not,
It's not a commercial.
You're not,
Right, you're not a
you're
commercial
not
shop.
occupying it 100% of the time. It's
Right.
only occupied when you've
Mhm.
got, same with
Yeah.
barns that have electricity to them.
Right.
You're out there, you're working during
Yeah.
the winter and
as
then.
long as it isn't a commercial
So it's a
aspect of
commercial
it.
business or a residence.
Right.
Yeah, that was my
And
understanding, but I
The,
just
the
wanted to
other,
confirm
the
that.
other thing that, if I kinda remember, and I
Okay,
have
I
to
was
do
gonna
some more
say.
checking on it though, is,
Mm-hmm. I will
um,
have.
and it was about the hood right on.
I'll just read it.
Yeah,
We went by roof line.
sure.
So instead of charging them 7 different fees, we charged them one.
One building for that apartment
Right.
building. Yeah,
Yeah, and that's what we kinda went through. I don't think there's any in the county duplexes or fourplexes or anything like that, you know, but if they
there
do,
were-
if there were, we would do
go
that.
by roof line.
The other thing we do is, if you have a business, but it's run out of your house,
Yeah,
then you only get the one charge.
right. One structure,
One structure, yes.
one occupied structure.
Yes.
Okay, all right. I just
So
wanted to make sure I
the
understood
typical-
that right.
Taxpayer outside the cities are gonna see a $50.
Yes.
Right.
It's gonna be unusual for anybody to have more than one.
There are a few up there, you know, the big ones, we've got Letterman. He has 3 or 4 structures up there that we charge. Who else was there?
So I have a question that just came to mind with our proposed Koski Distillery having 30 rental cabins. Would that be 30 inhabitable buildings? I mean, it's not
Yeah.
even built yet, but I'm just curious how.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The fee board would probably have to look at what those
Look at
structures
Have
are.
to
going
assess
be.
that,
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah,
They're basically a bedroom and a bathroom.
yeah.
And a hot
They've
tub.
got power, yeah.
And a hot tub. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. That I never really, never thought of that way back
No.
when.
Yeah,
I get it.
when I was
And-
thinking about this, that crossed my mind. That's kind of it's
Yeah,
an unusual
development.
scenario, but it is they're
Well,
habitable.
you know, you're seeing it more and more right now is these, people putting up their little Airbnbs.
Yeah,
And it's just maybe just a little cabin behind their house or something. I
Right.
think that's what's going on just outside of town here. And that,
Mhm.
Should we charge for that? I think so, because that is, they're using it to raise money.
right, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's a commercial venture. yeah.
commercial venture, you know. Now, I don't know on this, we're talking these 30 cabins on the,
Yeah, he's
distillery.
gonna, yeah,
Koski
he's gonna have
Distillery,
30
yeah.
rental cabins.
That's
okay,
the one over by Gordon.
yeah.
Mhm.
so are they gonna be rented out or are they gonna be
Yes.
for, okay, I would say yes.
I would assume so.
Yeah.
I would
think
assume so. If they're gonna rent them out, and they're gonna use them for commercial venture, I would say yes. That's my opinion. We'd have to go through the fee board on it.
Yeah, right.
My opinion would be yes.
Okay, well, with all that discussion, I will make the motion to grant the fee board their request for the
Okay,
increase of $50.
and I'll second that.
Any other comments? Got a motion to approve and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Well, thank you, and thank you, Melody, and thank you from Marcia Hinch for the nice letter she
That was
wrote.
well written.
Yeah, that was a nice letter.
Alcohol designation, we receive monies from the state by population. And what we've done in the past is split it between two entities that are helping through the courts.
Yes, Many Rivers Whole Health and,
Many Rivers Whole Health.
yep. WHOLE Health.
Where are they based out of, Joe?
The Center for Mental Health merged with
Okay.
Gateway Recovery, and the new entity is Many Rivers
Okay.
Whole Health. I talked with Pete Rasmussen, the JP, and his recommendation, because he deals with a lot of
Yep.
the issues, his recommendation was to stay at the 50-50 split that we started last year.
And where does the other half go?
Eastern Front Counseling.
Eastern.
So I would make the motion to designate the money be split between Eastern Front Counseling and Many Rivers Whole Health.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 We need, or we have, I shouldn't say we have the Sun River Watershed Group, and Tracy is with us, so if you'd like to tell us how your program is going.
Absolutely. I provided a written report for kind of an update of what we completed in the last year. In the past, this group has been especially interested in water quality and the stream gauges. We installed a new stream gauge on Muddy Creek this past year. GID came out and provided some equipment. We had a bunch of volunteers do the labor. And that was the gauge that originally was right outside power, right by the highway there. And it washed out in 2018 and 19 during the flooding. So we moved that just down the road a bit, just across that first bridge. Is that 13th or 14th? I always forget. 13th lane. So it's just, you'll see it when you cross that bridge and look over to the left, and you'll see that new gauge. And that's a seasonal gauge that'll operate April through October. So we got that replaced, which I'm pretty excited about, because I think since day one on this job, people were telling me we needed to get that gauge redone.
Oh, okay.
So that was one of our bigger projects. We also have some other stuff going on Muddy Creek, and it spans Teton and Cascade County. So we did a Muddy Creek master plan, and we had some consultants come and they met with GID. They looked at projects that GID has proposed to help with stream flows, runoff, flow fluctuations, and the erosion problems that happen on Muddy Creek. And then also went out and looked on site at some of the places where the worst of the erosion is happening. And they came up with a recommendation for high priority projects. And what we received $1.769 million from the Bureau of Reclamation, and we have another $500,000 from DNRC that's working its way through the legislature in House Bill 7 right now. But all of that money will fund a couple of projects on Muddy Creek. One is to make J Wasteway bigger, which will allow GID to control the water a bit more and manage the water a bit more. Hopefully to avoid those big flow fluctuations that go down Spring Coulee Creek and then into Muddy Creek. And then we have about between 3 and 4 miles of restoration. Costs have gone up significantly since we applied for the grant. So we're going to go as far as we can, and this is a few miles above Vaughn, some of the deeper parts of the canyon. So some bank treatments, some in-channel treatments, some of the same kind of stuff that Al Rollo did. A lot of that work he did 20 years ago or whatever it was is still holding up, but some of those structures are starting to fail. So we're going to fix some of those, add some more, do some more bank work, some revegetation to try and slow down that erosion that happens down there. But, you know, the biggest the biggest part of this is making sure that we're also treating the source of the pollution or the degradation. So that's where working on J Wasteway comes in. So this is phase 1 of Muddy Creek work, and as that starts to near its end, we'll go back through our master plan, pick a next group of projects, and apply for money to work on that. And I'm not sure how that's going to look yet, if we're going to do public meetings or if we're going to get recommendations from our consultants or GID or whoever else. So that's a few years out. We still have $2.3 million to spend first.
Okay.
And then our water quality monitoring program that Al had started is still ongoing. We're going to start later this month. We'll start this water season. We go out once a month, April through October. I've been doing some work to make sure that the data that we collect is more available to the general public. So I'm still working on this river conditions page on our website, and we're going to add an interactive map there too. But the idea is that you can click on the different water quality monitoring sites and see the pictures of what the stream conditions look like in that area and what the flows are, and actually get to the data. So hopefully that'll become a useful and engaging tool for the public. Coming up, hopefully sooner than later, I need to get a hold of Alan. I was hoping he would be here, about the culvert replacement, which is also on 13th Lane. Katie Vivian worked with him to get some funding to replace the culvert, and I was going to offer to help him with the permitting, because he'll need to get a 310 permit. I think Katie's helping him with some of the environmental stuff, and I know how busy he is, and it's part of my job to make
Technically,
sure.
I don't think it's a 310 permit, it's a different number because it's a government. entity.
Because it's a
So-
government. I always, numbers don't stick in my head the way they should.
That's okay.
What is it? 124 permit?
Oh, the one that's
It's
just
the
through
same
fisheries.
process, but it's because it's a government. entity.
Yeah.
We have a different number.
So I forget the numbers, but I know how to do it. So so I was going to offer to give him a hand with that. I also want to make sure you guys know we're we started this last year, spent ammo and trash cleanup at Freeze Out Lake. So after the snow melts, but before things start greening up and the trash gets buried in vegetation. So this year we're going to go out May 7th, which is a Sunday. And we promoted it a bit last weekend at the Wild Wings event, and we've had it on social media. We're getting a lot of calls from people who want to come and volunteer. So I think this year it'll be a pretty big popular event. Again, that's May 7th, the Freeze Out Lake cleanup. And then this year is the 25th anniversary of the Weed Whacker Rodeo up in Sun Canyon. And Mark Cordy helps us with that. Hoping to get Al back up there this year. He hasn't been out the last couple of years, but we're going to hopefully get some big prizes. I know they used to give away canoes, and I don't know if I can get to that level of prize, but we've had Chad White, the grizzly guy, out there last year. He brought a bunch of inert bear spray and showed everybody how to use it, and then we had bear spray that people could borrow. I thought, we're pulling weeds out in grizzly country. We need to make sure our volunteers are protected. So we added that feature last year, and that was real popular. I'm actually supposed to meet with Joel, who's the owner of that Gordon distillery, to talk about potential partnerships. And also, he had mentioned, some things he's hoping to do with water and fish on the property. So I want to make sure he knows what permits he needs and who he needs to talk to. So another thing that I've been doing is meeting a lot with stakeholders and making sure that they know how to treat the stream and what process they need to go through when they make changes. And finally, I haven't come up and seen you guys as regularly since all the COVID stuff happened. So I have not been requesting funds from you guys every year like Alan used to. So traditionally, you guys have supported the Watershed Group with $500 a year towards stream gauges. So I don't know where you're at with that, since I did not ask you before you did your budgeting for this year, and I don't know if last year's I didn't ask for is carried over. So I would appreciate consideration of any kind of contribution. I brought a couple of invoices just in case that's something you guys want to talk about today, but I could also just leave them behind. You can provide zero. You can provide a different amount than I have on our request here. I just appreciate the support and being a part of this community.
I think we did that for a number of years, and we also had the one with the Conservation District, and they were both $500, so I would see no reason why we wouldn't continue.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we can do that.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And I can leave this behind for your accountant and you can do whatever you do with it.
Sure.
But
Okay.
I definitely
Yeah.
appreciate.
We'll take
I'm sorry I haven't been out here to ask you guys for money every year, but
Oh, that's okay.
but I really appreciate your time. Thanks for having me today.
Thank
Yeah,
you for
thanks for
coming.
coming.
Thanks for the report.
I'm not on the agenda, but I would like to speak during the public comment period.
Sure, absolutely.
First, I'll put on my Sun River Watershed hat. As you know, besides managing GID, I also am the chair of the Sun River Watershed Group. And as Tracy mentioned, she has got a lot of things going on. She's very aggressive, very active, and she's building a lot of momentum for the group. And I want to thank you for your resuming your support. As you can see, it gets used, and there's a lot of good things that she has started herself, and getting a lot of good public traction. So again, thank you. So now moving on to the GID front, and I use this opportunity to come up to you and also kind of give you an update about what's going on. Just, we're in your county, and so I'd like to give you an update on some of the things we're working on. First, with respect to the Gibson and the Sun River Watershed Group, snowpack is right where it needs to be. It's right around 100% as of today, which is actually behind the last 3 or 4 years, but 100% of a 30-year average is a good place to be. It's a lot of water. So with the cooler temperatures, of course, like last year, the snow's kind of staying put up there in the mountains, which is okay. That's our biggest reservoir above Gibson, actually, if it just stays on the ground and doesn't come out prematurely or too quickly. As you know, the producers are far from putting in a crop. They'll start ramping things up next week, but the ground's still frozen, and it's still, it'll look, well, there'll be a lot of smoke probably starting next week, but
We've had people come in for burn permits already, so I assume it's gonna ramp up.
that's the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
It's gonna be kind of a compressed burning season, so it's probably gonna be very active for a while, I would assume.
I'm sure the fire alarm will be going off a lot.
It went off earlier in the week a couple of times, so it's happening.
So we're expecting a good normal, irrigation season, which is good once we get going. Talk a little bit about our projects, the new Sun River Bridge, that spans Lewis and Clark and Teton counties. I did get another $2.5 million funding for that, and that bridge is all grant money. So technically, our producers are responsible for that cost, and we've already gotten $11 million. So the additional $2.5 million is meant to help offset the price increases and inflation that have occurred since I wrote the initial grant. So that's good, another $2.5 million, and we're expecting a ribbon cutting ceremony in 2025. Federal Highway Administration is doing the design work with some local consultants, and they're actually working on a lot of it will happen this fall, the environmental geotechnical studies thing. So that's exciting. As you know, that bridge is on its last leg. The Arnold Cooley project, that's on the Pitchkin Supply Canal Road. That's a large drop structure on our supply canal. We're replacing that 100-year-old structure with a hydropower facility. That's on track, and again, the cost increases have hurt us, but we've already committed. We jumped out of the airplane. There's no turning back. So we have to just muscle our way through getting that project completed and online. We were going to be online in spring of 2024, and I'm still shooting for that, but some of the supply issues with the large electrical gear have been seriously impacted by the war in Europe. They knock out their electrical grid and they rebuild it, and then the other side blows it up again. So it's putting a huge strain on the supply for some of the larger gear like transformers and breakers and things like that worldwide. Not that the COVID didn't already jumpstart that problem. But Arnold Cooley is moving forward. Tunnel number 3, which is also on the Pishkin Supply Canal Road. You know, the last couple of years, sections of the crown of the roof on that has collapsed. It's a 100-year-old concrete tunnel that's 2,200 feet long, 11 feet in diameter. Yesterday, we got word we just got $11.6 million to work on that. We already had a $500,000 ARPA grant. This is a federal from reclamation. It's not a free money, but it's a long-term, low-interest. We got to do something. If that tunnel fails catastrophically, it'll impact everybody in southern Teton County. I mean, the water supply, as you know, affects Fairfield, the Tri-County Water District, Town of Power. Everybody relies on, you know, our excess water, whatever. So that's good news. So we're going to start working on putting together a game plan for that. The same aging infrastructure account from the feds, we got another little over $5 million for Pishkin Inlet, which is the second hydropower facility we're looking at. And that's the drop where the Pishkin Supply Canal drops directly into the Pishkin Reservoir. And that, again, is also going to be like a 30, 40-year long-term loan, low-interest loan. But we're going to focus on the tunnel first, obviously. The next item I wanted to visit with you about is the Bull Road maintenance, you know, past the missile silo, where it goes from a really nice road to travel at your own risk road. And I know, you know, the public lands access folks have determined that is a public road from the missile silo all the way down to our canal road and then all the way to Pishkin Reservoir. But I know the county doesn't run their equipment up there anymore, and I'm just wondering if you can visit with your road crews, and now that the land has changed hands, there might be an opportunity where you can run a grader up there once in a while. It helps us with our equipment and transferring, moving stuff around. It is designated a public access, so somebody would hopefully take care of that little stretch of road. And I know you guys, maybe you don't run your grader up there anymore now that they've done that fancy treatment. There's no reason to.
Well, the issue with that was Mr. Jones did not want the county to maintain that road. And there's a difference legally between public road and a county road.
Okay.
And if you remember, that's why he put in this fence that made it to where you couldn't even get a road grader through there.
Yeah.
Because he had every right to do it. He literally fenced off the right of way.
So it's not necessarily recognized as a county responsibility.
Correct. Yeah.
So it is in perpetuity, just travel at your own risk.
It's a public access. It's not a county road.
Is there any opportunity to visit with the current landowner and maybe upgrade that status? Somebody that's a little more.
That could be an answer if he's more.
Yeah.
But Mr. Jones absolutely did not want the county in there. He didn't want GID in there either. He didn't want anybody in there.
Yeah, I realize that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why we
We haven't talked with the new owner.
no, but the
It's something that we could
the
approach.
court ruling was it was a public road, not a county road.
Right.
So
Even going the extra 1,000 feet up to the cattle guard would be a step in the right direction. You kind of turn around right there at where the missile silo is, and you could literally go, I think, a quarter of a mile to the cattle guard where it's the beginning of that parcel.
we'll talk to Alan about that because it is still county road to the cattle guard.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And
I
then-
will make a note to do that early.
Okay, and then on the same types of discussion, the actual Pishkin Supply Canal Road itself, between the Sun River and the Pishkin Reservoir, I get a lot of calls from landowners that live in that 13 miles stretch, and they have trouble securing financing for mortgages and things like that because the title insurance doesn't recognize that as public access, a public road or a county road or whatever. And so they're at this quandary about, I'm buying this chunk of ground, 6 miles in, and they're telling me that I have no legal right to get there on paper, but And the history of the Pishkin Supply Canal Road is for 100 years plus. The public has been using that to go from point A to point B, and we're good with that. And truthfully, the landowners that live in the middle can't really say anything about the public driving that road because they have to traverse other people's private ground to get to their private ground. So it is kind of an understanding that it is public. And GID does maintain that road, you know, although our standards are probably aren't as high as the county standards. We run a grader up there once in a while, and people complain a lot about it needs to be touched up. And I said, well, if the dam tender complains about the road, then we'll work on it. But it's not, you know, we're not there strictly for the road. So
Right.
I don't know how the county's position on that is. What I've prepared is letters for these private landowners explaining to the title company the situation and to say it's publicly addressed. If we did try, if anybody tried to close it off, it would be another public access lands issue, and it would end up the same way the Boulder Road would.
Right.
So I tried to explain, and I think the title company has been happy with the letter I've written because they said, well, we've done our job, and we, you know, and somebody is now, you know, so they can check the box if they, you know. So, but I don't know what the county's position on that 13 miles. I know you guys don't maintain it. You've lent us some equipment once in a while, like a compactor and stuff to help us when we did some reconstruction in various locations, but I don't see that problem going away, and I don't see how you can adopt the road,
No.
you know, because it's basically reclamation GID maintenance road on an easement that we have with various landowners, state, federal, and private, and so you can't really claim
We
it.
can't take it as a county road, no.
Yeah.
And we had, I'm sure, one of the producers that you dealt with, we got pulled into that, and the GID did, and the county did take in the dam road up to the first bridge in the 50s or 60s. What year was that? Remember we found that?
Oh.
The local landowners petitioned, and I thought, well, this isn't going to be any good because it's a GID easement. And the manager of the GID at the time did sign off on it being a county road to that first bridge from the Glory Hole west. But I talked to the county attorney about that, and he said, well, yeah, maybe if the current manager at that time had the authority to cede a federal right-of-way to the county.
I
So,
probably didn't.
I
yeah,
don't think so. No.
so we just left
I
it at
wouldn't
that.
think so.
And I provided that information to the affected landowner and
Yeah.
told them, here's what it's worth. We don't know what it's worth, but the record is that the county did take it in as a county road up to that first bridge, but
And
the county attorney doesn't, he's not comfortable with that being.
And I know that you guys run, you know, your maintenance crews all the way up to the inlet, you know, the drop at the inlet, which is great. We appreciate that. And I think that, you know, that, but I know you don't go up on the
Yeah,
canal
we never
road.
go west.
You go,
No.
go west. And that's fine. We'll continue to do that. But, and I guess I'll continue to support the landowners there with my understanding of the 100-year use. And whether, you know, it's legal or not, it's certainly a prescribed and a historical condition
Yeah.
that has to be recognized on some level. Even though the title company says on paper it doesn't look like you have access, but physically, I don't see a problem. All right, very good.
Mel, you had a question?
Just, Erling, it was the 13-mile stretch on the Pishkin Supply Canal Road between what and what?
The Sun River
Mhm.
crossing
Okay,
and Pishkin Reservoir.
okay. I'm sure I've run on it.
And then just last thing, we have our board meeting this coming Tuesday, next Tuesday. If you wanna, you know, get some more inside information, you're more than welcome.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I didn't mention our board meeting and water management working group meeting.
April 20th.
I can email you guys the details, but yeah, we have a
Okay.
meeting, our meeting's in Fairfield this time. I know that's closer for you guys, but it is the third Thursday, which at 10 a.m. So that's, I think, when you guys are meeting.
We'll be here.
But you can always come late, you know, if you wrap up early, because I serve lunch between the water management meeting and the board meeting, so. come
Okay.
come down and get a free lunch and
And where's that?
hear what
at?
we're working on at that ambulance training center.
Okay,
So we have water management meeting from 10 until noon, and then noon or 12:30, depending on how long we go, and then at 1 our board meets. We're going to be talking a lot about projects at this board meeting, so that might be interesting.
Oh,
But I'll
yeah.
send you guys the details.
okay,
Okay.
appreciate it.
And I don't know, I guess if you had any questions for me, I'm open for questions.
Thank you for coming early.
Yeah.
You bet,
thank you.
yeah, I appreciate it.
So are these projects mainly after you shut the water off in the fall?
Yeah, and that's our challenge. It's always been our
Oh,
challenge.
yeah.
You
You don't have a
know,
very big window to get
we
things done.
run water during the nice time of year, and then we have to try and get everything done during the horrible time of year.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's a challenge. And you know, working up along the front, it's a logistics nightmare, trying to get as much as you can get done in a day with travel and the short, you know, daylight hours. And if we actually did hire contractors to do work, it's a mob, it's a travel thing. It's, you know, it's a lot of time just going back and forth to the site and
Right.
not actually doing anything.
Yeah.
So, but, and then we have to always be careful, like the tunnel, we'll break that into multiple phases because, you know, kind of like eating an elephant, you have to take a lot of small bites. And whatever we do, we have to make sure that we button it up and get to the point where we can run water again in April. So we gotta be careful how much we
And did
undertake.
you say that's 2,200 feet long?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've been up there and I never really thought
That's
about how
long.
long that thing is. That's a,
Yeah,
Yeah, you can drive your truck through it, you know,
yeah.
so, I mean, now you have to pull the mirrors in a little bit on these fancy trucks, but.
So how much of the ceiling is actually deteriorating? Is it,
Well, there's, the first year the collapse occurred, there were, you know, big chunks like this that fell out of the ceiling, and when they built that tunnel, it called for 11 inches of concrete against the excavated rock. Some of the rock was very soft, you know, almost like a soil. It was highly deteriorated, degraded rock, and so it was a stability issue. So they built this timber cribbing formwork first before they put the concrete up. Unfortunately, they didn't build their timber out further so that they finished with 11 inches of concrete as originally planned. Some of the timber, the soldiers and the whalers, some of that timber took up the 11 inches. And so the concrete was in between these whalers and soldiers. The concrete was a full 11 inches, but then where you had a big 6x6, the concrete was 6 inches less. And so what happened, these big chunks fell out because after 100 years, the timbers are all rotted.
Sure,
And they were almost holding everything back. And this concrete is unreinforced concrete, so it's working on that arch principle, where everything's in compression, which is great. But when you lose the roof, then it starts to unravel. So the first year we had to put everything back, and we built some steel framings to keep it from unraveling. The second year there was a new section that was starting to form. It hadn't fallen, but you could fresh cracks, you could see displacement, and so we braced that up. We inspected the tunnel again just last week, and everything looks good. So.
That's good.
But again, these are just temporary. A permanent solution has to be implemented to give that tunnel another 100+ years of life.
sure.
So,
Well, it's good that you have, the government's on board with giving the low interest loans, so.
yeah, it's taken a lot of public catastrophes elsewhere.
I suppose, yeah.
And no disrespect to our government. You know, they're great when things fail. They show up, but you know, on their white horses with bags of money and save the day. But if you try to proactively avert a catastrophe, they don't see the need.
We understand that.
So it's challenging to convince them that we're doing this to avoid a problem
Yeah,
that's imminent.
they're reactionary.
Yeah,
sometimes.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Maybe there's too many other things to work on, and so if it's not on fire now, don't send the trucks.
yeah, exactly. So water, middle of May, 1st of May?
Yeah. Again, I think right around Mother's Day, that week, plus or minus. And a lot of it, it depends on how often my phone rings in the office, and if it's a hot, dry spring, it's like, we need to water now, we need to water now. If the wells in Fairfield are sucking air, we need to water now. So, I think soil moisture's good, and it's not terribly hot yet. So I think we're looking at this normal start right around mid-May.
Okay.
And you don't have any problem getting labor?
I would just like to say that if there's anybody that would like a job with GID that pays a living wage with good benefits and opportunity to squirrel away a nice retirement package, that come visit us at GID. We do have an opening for a ditch rider.
Very good.
We also have an opening at the road department.
Yeah.
Same.
It seems to be the challenge everywhere,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
but we certainly appreciate the information from.
Sure, well, thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah.
Reports. Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions for the watershed group or for GID? Commissioners report?
I made a few notes on there.
Yeah.
We did get our chip seal project is moving along. It's only been in the process for almost 10 years. We're gonna go out to bid. I wrote the
The
date on the
18th.
But we'll
18th,
have the pre-bid
the
meeting.
pre-bid meeting, and they wanted so the contractors can come talk to the commissioners, so I explained to them that probably should be a public meeting. The Department of Revenue has this room that day, so we'll have it in our office now.
What day was that?
The 18th at 10 o'clock.
Okay.
And that particular project, when it was first estimated, when we repaved the highway, was $90,000, and now it's almost $800,000. Not that prices have been climbing. We did get our inflation rate from the state yesterday, and it's a lot higher than it was last year. Last year's 1.7% inflation, and the state recognized that it was low, so now this year it's 2.4. So we're making progress.
Joe,
Yeah.
roll back just a second to the chip seal. Which section of road is this?
It's the entire Teton River Road, from the intersection with 89 to the end of the
Yeah.
pavement.
18 miles?
Yeah, 18.2, I think
Okay.
it is.
Basically from the junction with 89 to the gravel.
To the end
Right.
of the pavement, yes. So I think the 18th is on a Tuesday, but with
It
all the
is.
parties, I tried to get it later in the week for you, but,
That's,
and it's gonna be at 10 o'clock, I believe.
It is.
and that's just a pre-bid
Yep,
conference.
it's
with
yep,
the
with the
contractor.
contractors, yep.
And the ad should be out in the paper next week
Okay.
Yep.
for 2 weeks, and the bid opening will be the 27th.
And we also did reapply for the flap grant for the South Fork Bridge. The deadline on that was March 31st. So we'll try that again.
Did you have to enter a memorandum of understanding with the road, or the?
With the Forest Service,
Yes.
yes, we did.
Okay.
Yep. And talking with Kathy on that, she didn't think that we would hear anything until late fall.
Yeah.
So it's a slow process, but hopefully we can grind ahead with it.
Joe, you'll probably put that MOU on the agenda for
Yeah,
formal action.
We had to sign it because of
Yeah.
the looming deadline, but we'll put it on for the 20th.
What was, it was this past, what?
March 31st was the deadline, yeah. And we'll probably just put the whole grant application in on the agenda, so if people have questions, we can answer it.
And Joe's your next meeting gonna be,
The next meeting will be the 20th.
Twenty.
okay, so you'll have a special meeting for the.
On the
big
27th.
tree.
Mhm.
Okay, gotcha.
The timing with the engineers and
We're just doing
the
that.
bids and stuff put that off, so.
So will it be on the it'll be on the 20th or the 27th? You're ready?
Our regular meeting will be on the 20th,
Okay,
and then the bid opening will be on the special meeting on the 27th. And then the pre-construction meeting will be on the 18th.
Did you get the email from Kathy
Yeah.
this morning
Well, I don't,
for changing the meeting
No,
till later?
which the pre-construction meeting?
Do we have a meeting on Monday? Well, it's a
Yeah.
meeting Monday?
We've got there's a Zoom meeting with her. on
Okay,
Monday.
it's gonna be in the afternoon, because she's had a conflict.
Oh, okay.
Just want to make sure.
I think it was Monday at 10.
I thought it was Tuesday, the 18th.
The pre-bid thing is, but we've got just a Zoom call with her.
Oh, about this bid?
Mhm.
Okay. I didn't see that.
I had it on my calendar.
any other comments, Commissioner reports?
I don't have anything further.
Erling did have a question on the road below Jones's cattle guard. He didn't think that we'd been grading from the missile site to the cattle guard.
Just an extra 1,000 feet. Just
I know, we talked about, we need to put a culvert in there and then get it and fill it with.
Yeah.
Tell Eric to quit mowing.
So anyway, I told
Yes,
him we're talking
yeah.
about it.
Yeah, that's a big mud hole there.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just haven't got to it.
It's low use.
Should let me use that new excavator to put that culvert in, then I'll do it.
Any other public comment? If not, we'll adjourn the meeting.
And thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming.
I don't know which one of you fellas wants this.
Thanks, Tracy.
Thank you.